Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.
Attitudes and our work ethic become very important in realizing our goals and opening up possibilities. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a recent graduate of UCA. And his story, is really fascinating. It's one of overcoming homelessness during his time pursuing his degree, first at a community college here in Arkansas, and then finishing his bachelor's degree here at UCA. His narrative ranges from estrangement from family for many years to a hopeful reunion with mother and siblings. His record is one of overcoming odds in a way that I probably could not, and certainly demonstrating levels of tenacity and patience and optimism that I can only marvel at. He wanted to talk with me about his new job and his career path going forward. I really need to be there to learn from him because that's where the real value was.
Everything I say in this video is alleged. Allegedly.
No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Y'all can just repeat after me. I really appreciate it. Alright? No such thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Talk to me. Alright, let's start over. No such thing as a life that's better than yours.
You're worse than the rich white people or the rich white Jews that own these record labels because they don't even understand these populations. You have a lot closer relationship to these people and you're leading them to hellfire. You are leading them in the wrong direction in the name of getting rich and famous. How dare you? Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was a little distracted. How y'all rocking with the intro? I finally got the freaking intro. How y'all rocking with the intro? Y'all gotta let me know how y'all feel about the intro, man. Yeah. We got an intro. I was so distracted. I didn't have my camera turned on. I didn't have the lights turned on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying something new. I'm going live on two separate. I'm going live vertically and landscape wise. StreamYard is and YouTube is testing out this new way for us for them to be able to for us content creators to be able to reach more people. And so I'm going to test this out, see how this goes. So let me say first and foremost, please hit the like button on your way in. Of course, please hit the like button on your way in. If you all would like to see one of the most craziest videos, then stay tuned. I have a video dropping at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So an hour and a half from now, I have a video dropping of an interview that I did with a TPUSA auditor. And he conducted what they call a forensic audit. The video is going to blow your mind. The purpose of oh yeah, Didi got an intro. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading comments for now. All right. If you want to check that out, it's going to blow your mind. It premieres at 7 p.m. It's a 2-hour interview. It's more than enough information. This is one of the biggest bombshells I've ever dropped on this channel. If you're a channel member, you already have access as of maybe 4 hours ago. If you are a Patreon member, you should have had access since this morning. For everybody else that's on YouTube, it will be dropping as of 7 p.m. So in an hour and a half. So please stay tuned for that. What else? Instagram, Twitter, so that I can reach you all. I'm going to start rolling out clips. I'm slowly building my team. We got some clips coming out. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the links to those and my Patreon in the description. Now let's talk about today, because this video won't be that long. But I do want to talk about this because this is kind of a big deal. You know, the people that are not consistent, the people that are not nuanced, is not going to talk about this, because if they are Trump supporters, they have to act like this didn't come out. And these emails that just came out about Donald Trump, it ain't good. It ain't good at all. It ain't good at all. And this right here, what you see on the screen, is Donald Trump being asked about these emails. And we're going to check out what Donald Trump had to say. But first, let's read the emails for those of you that have not read it yet. Let me add my banner. Boom. Media asset. Let me get the color down. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So the first email is coming from a guy by the name of Michael Wolff. You know, Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein had a relationship. All right. So this first one is from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein. And he says, I think this is Michael telling Jeffrey Epstein, I think you should let him hang himself. He's talking about Trump. I think you should let Trump hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. All right. So this is coming from, okay, so at the very bottom it says, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. And that was eventually the response. Now, the first thing that I noticed about this email that I didn't see anybody else focus on. Read this first sentence up here at the very top. I think you should let him hang himself. Interesting. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR. Just ask yourself a simple question. If Donald Trump had never been on the plane, and if he's never been to the island, why would this second sentence even be necessary to say? That means that it's possible that Trump could say one or the other, which leads us to believe, by just process of elimination, Donald Trump has been on the plane. Right? Right? Hit the like button on your way in, everybody. Thank you so much, Dan. Been subscribed for about a month. Love your stuff. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. If you could just hit the like button, I would really appreciate that for sure. Yeah, the 7 o'clock video is going to blow your mind. Just wait till you see it. It's going to blow your mind. And to my Patreon members, I added a little bit more B-roll to the YouTube version just because I had a little extra time. So it's going to be much more of an enjoyable experience for the YouTubers. All right. Let's see. All right. So the next email here is from Ghislaine Maxwell, which, as we all know, was Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woe man, right? She was the one that was allegedly going out and getting the underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein, right? It was a lot easier for her because she's a woman and she was able to help court these young women, and many times underage women. Didi on the late train. We all know Trump was on the plane. His whole family was. Yes, so I misspoke. I understand that he was on the plane, but the problem is if Donald Trump was going to lie about that at this point, whenever that email came out, I don't think that would have been made clear. But at this point in time, we're more concerned about if he went to the island or not. But I digress. So this one here says, I want you to realize, and once again, this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine. This is what Jeffrey is saying to Ghislaine Maxwell. I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump, right? So in other words, the person that hasn't given in to the bait, the person that hasn't done anything as of yet is Trump. Victim, they redacted the name, but based on context clues, we have good reason to believe that this is Virginia Giuffre, who is the young lady who mysteriously passed away earlier, I believe this year, right after she tweeted that she would not pass away. Jeffrey is telling Ghislaine Maxwell here that whoever this victim is spent hours at my house with him. So this victim spent hours with Donald Trump, according to what Jeffrey Epstein is saying here. He has never once been mentioned in none of the reports, which is what I found odd. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Ghislaine Maxwell responds and says, I have been thinking about that, as in she's noticed that Donald Trump hasn't been named by anybody as well. Now, let me tell you all what's so crazy about this email. So I'm about to make it larger again so you all can see it, but this is very important. I watched another content creator that I have a lot of respect for. They responded to this and they said, for them, in their opinion, this email right here that y'all are looking at, a content creator who, conservative follower of Christ, said that after looking at this email, all this did for them was increased their suspicion that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are foreign spies, which I agree that there's a strong chance that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are spies. But he said that it decreased his suspicion that Donald Trump participated in anything criminal. Maybe we need to read this email again. This says, I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. Do I need to remind you all that Jeffrey Epstein liked them young? Jeffrey Epstein was dealing with underage girls. All of them weren't. Some of them were like early 20s. But and we're going to play a couple of videos here in just a moment to sort of drive this point home. I was talking about this when I had the TPUSA pastor on, Pastor John Amachukwu. And I said, there's a woman that literally gave an interview and talked about some disgusting things that Trump did to her. Yes, it wasn't, everything don't have to be penetration. But inappropriately touching someone speaks to a person's character, and definitely speaks if you're doing certain things in public. Again, I'm about to show the video in here in a minute. If you're willing to do certain things in public, what are you willing to do in private? Well, this email right here is clearly saying Donald Trump's at Jeffrey Epstein's house with this victim. What would you be doing for hours at anybody's house with an underage girl that you're unrelated to, who's not your daughter? It's probably a better way to put that. This does not decrease my suspicion at all. It increases it. Right? What does this one say? This one is from Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff. Victim Mar-a-Lago. And then they redacted more victims' names. Trump said he asked me to resign, which Trump has said multiple times, that he told Jeffrey Epstein to resign once he, quote unquote, allegedly found out. You know, this is normally, for those of you that don't know, this is normally the talking point that people that are a part of the Trump cult, you know, because just because you're conservative, you have conservative values, you're supposed to ignore evil if it comes from the conservative side. No, that's not how this works. No. You have a guy who watches my content. I guess he watches quite a bit of my content. He's a content creator as well. Occasionally comments on my content and says, "All right, Didi, I see that you have TDS, but why don't you ever talk about the Democrats?" Bro, I have so many videos talking about the Democrats, exposing Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. I have critical videos of Barack Obama, Jasmine Crockett, all these people. Trump is our president right now. Trump is trending right now. Trump was closest to Epstein of any president we've ever had before. Imagine if Barack Obama or Joe Biden, or especially Barack Obama, they wouldn't leave that alone. Imagine if he had a relationship or a history with Epstein the way Trump did. Imagine what these blind cult members would be saying. Well, I always remember Barack Obama, Jeffrey Epstein used to be super close. Yeah, we have no proof or anything, but it's a couple of allegations out there. But because it's Trump, they look the other way. There's nothing to see here. Trump fired and banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago once he found out that he was dealing with underage girls. Is that so? Well, this email here sort of disproves that. It says here, of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Of course he knew about the girls. May I remind you all that are not Patreon members, we did a whole breakdown of the modeling industry. Remember, Trump was in the modeling industry for a number of years. That's how he met Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's quote-unquote wife. It is also alleged that Donald Trump is the one that introduced Erica Kirk to Charlie Kirk or Erica Francevy at the time in the form of a job interview. Remember, for those of you that are not Patreon members, I broke down in the documentary. There's a documentary that came out maybe a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, exposing what the modeling industry is really about, which nobody should be shocked about that. I've only been a male my entire life. Let me tell you, it makes no sense for a man to be running the modeling industry. Unless you're 100% homosexual, which of course I don't support the lifestyle, but unless you're totally into men as a man, I don't understand what you're doing. Why would you place yourself in that environment? You can be the most faithful man in the world. Why put yourself in that type of environment to face that type of temptation? Half naked women. Part of your job is to literally look at their bodies, have them to do 360s, and for you to analyze them. What father would be fine with their daughter stepping into that industry? That makes no sense. Stop it. Stop it. Right? Which brings us to Donald Trump's response. I'm going to show you all Donald Trump's response, and then I'm going to show you a victim and what this victim said herself. This is a former Jeffrey Epstein girlfriend. Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend. I made an entire video about this. I'm going to link it in the description of this video. Here's what Trump had to say about these emails. That's not only saying that he knew about the girls. These emails are alleging all of this. But it's clear that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein was a lot closer, obviously, than what Donald Trump has led us to believe. This is what Donald Trump had to say. Of course, it does this. Of course. Of course.
This department is also sending some of the Epstein files over to the House Oversight Committee today. Are you in support of them releasing all of them?
Keeping it open.
if they wanted to
innocent
release.
people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be. People, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach. I don't know anything about that, but I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them, because it's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax.
Democrat hoax, bro. Imagine being a Trump supporter, and I don't mean you're just against the left. I mean like you're a blind supporter. You're not consistent. You're not fair. And then Donald Trump, after saying during his campaign trail, he was going to expose this just to get into the White House and then hit us with the, you're still talking about this Jeffrey guy? This Epstein guy? Well, yeah. Children is kind of like the most vulnerable community in the world that we must protect. Yeah. No one's been arrested yet. Why will we no longer be talking about this? Yeah. Now, imagine being a diehard Trump supporter, and then he gets up here and says Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat hoax. Okay, bro. Well, is this story by Stacey also a hoax?
Normal thing to me because I knew at that point how close.
Oh yeah, let me sort of get some background. Once again, please hit the like button if you don't mind. Just for some context, this is a woman by the name of Stacey. She's given an interview, and she's explaining during a short period of time when she was dating Jeffrey Epstein what occurred when she met Trump for the very first time when Jeffrey Epstein introduced her. Listen, if you've never heard this story, it's kind of bizarre and weird.
Close they were, what good friends they were. Kind of a normal thing to me because I knew at that point how close they were, what good friends they were. That wasn't the first time I'm hearing, about the degree of their connection where it's normal or comfortable to just stop by his office in the middle of the day. So I said, all right, okay, let's stop by. And Donald came out of his office right outside in the sort of the waiting area and started groping me while the two of them continued having a casual conversation. And Donald had an assistant who was sort of walked back and forth a couple times, and they did introduce me to her at one point. I will never remember her name.
But Donald is groping you in front of Jeffrey as they are continuing to talk.
Yes. His touches, just moving his hands sort of up and down my body, and like smiling at him, and Jeffrey smiling back. And I don't remember specific. It was, I think the conversation oriented around me and my career. Stacey's on fire, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And what was Jeffrey doing at this time?
He was engaging in the conversation and just looking at Donald. I didn't read any kind of reaction when it was happening.
And was that, because that feels very odd for a man to stand with his girlfriend talking to another man who is groping his girlfriend. And you've said that he was groping your breasts, he had his hands all over your buttocks, he was just wildly inappropriate with you and entitled.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Jeffrey, I don't think either of us thought, I didn't think of him as my boyfriend and vice versa. I mean, we were dating, we had, I would say for a period of 4 months, almost daily contact. Most of it was the telephone. And so, yeah, the incident is completely insane. But from the boyfriend point of view, I don't think it brought up any feelings of jealousy. I think he expressed rage to me right afterwards.
I wanted to talk to you about that. What did you do in the moment when this was going on, when Donald Trump was allegedly groping you? What did you do?
I froze. I just froze, and I was just confused because they were continuing to talk, so as if nothing's happening. And so, you know, everything Donald does is hidden in its brazenness. You just do it right out there, and everyone goes, well, that can't be happening because it's totally wrong, and he's doing it right in front of everyone, so therefore it can't be happening. I mean, that's what went through my head at that point. Like, it was just utter confusion. And for me to be that frozen when I had a rep for really being a bit of a street fighter and really pushing back in studios when photographers were inappropriate. And I mean, I was reprimanded for it by my agencies. They'll be so difficult, you know, you don't have to sleep with them, but at least make them think you're going to sleep with them. And, you know, all this game playing that had to go on for these tiny egos. And so, you know, I was really combative. And so for me to freeze, you know how masterful he is in a way to pull that off.
Well, and your remark about his brazenness and it happening in plain sight and people not acknowledging it is, I think, a really valid one. So what happened after you left the building, or after you left Donald Trump?
After we got into the elevator, and I looked at Jeffrey. He would make eye contact with me, and he had a really enraged look on his face. He was seething. His whole energy was different. And then by the time we got out on the street, we got out on Fifth Avenue, he just turned and started yelling at me and said, why did you let him do that? He just kept repeating it. Why would you let him do that? And he really, you know, there was an edge to it that was also very shaming and belittling. And I remember standing there thinking, like, I was starting to come back into my body, and I thought, why did I? I was so confused, you know? And then I went home, and we went separate ways, and it wasn't long after that I stopped seeing him.
And when you think about the incident, did you think that he had set it up with Donald Trump? Was he trying to gaslight you outside? Did he genuinely not understand why you hadn't pushed Trump away? Or do you think that he had set the whole thing up?
I think he was confused. I think he thought, because I told him all of these stories about guys I'd, you know, beaten up in the streets of Paris and maced and getting in trouble with my agencies for not pretending I'm going to sleep with disgusting Vogue photographers. And I think somehow he thought he has, like, oh, this one, you know, this ornament is actually one that fights back. You know, let's test this right here.
Now, it's a few things I want to say about this. I see a lot of you all are having conflicting opinions. Some of you all believers, some of you all do not. Again, I've made an entire video about this a few months ago. I've already linked it in the description of this video if you'd like to check it out. I think it'll be pretty entertaining. However, let me say, I 100% believe her. Let me tell you why I believe her. I do not believe all victims. I do not believe all women. A lot of women are flat out liars. A lot of women are opportunists. A lot of women are used as agents to bring people down. I don't believe that this woman is one of them for multiple reasons. First and foremost, discernment. My discernment is usually pretty spot on. I don't, claim to have superpowers and claim to know everything, but just watching this woman, feeling this woman out, you have to go and watch the entire interview. It seemed pretty organic, pretty easy flowing. She had no bone to pick here, which leads me to my second point. She has no lawsuit. She's not looking for money here. She's not looking to put him in jail. She's just simply sharing a story, which leads me to my third point. She didn't accuse Donald Trump of any type of penetration. She didn't accuse Donald Trump of hitting her or grabbing her or any of. If you're really trying to bring down Trump, there's some really bad things you could really say about him, right? She didn't say any of that, right? And I say this in the original video, but this should not go unnoticed. In my opinion, what was clear to me, knowing that Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein has a huge story, a huge and a long history in the modeling world. What was apparent to me about this situation is that Stacy here, her name is Stacy. Stacy was just what I call a bop. In the so-called black community, you'll hear the term bop. Bop means like a pass around, somebody that wasn't that important to Jeffrey Epstein. What was also apparent to me, or very likely to have happened, is that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump probably had multiple conversations about this woman or this young girl at the time. I think she was in her young 20s, late teens. They had already had multiple conversations about her. And Donald Trump understood what she was, the nature of her and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship. And it was just, that they were just sleeping around. So Donald Trump felt comfortable enough, if this story is true, I personally believe that it is true. He felt comfortable enough to treat her the way that they've treated other women in the past. When you're Donald Trump, you got all this clout, this fame, this money, this wealth, this opportunity. Then it's easy for women to throw themselves at you. So here you are meeting this young, probably attractive girl that Jeffrey Epstein is involved with. He's already talked to you on the phone. Hey, man, I got this other girl. This is what we do together. She's just another one. I'm going to bring over. Take a look at her. And Donald Trump allegedly responded the way many men in his position will probably respond. I believe her. If you're wanting to lie on Trump, go all the way. She didn't say that he had intercourse with her. He was groping her body. Why is that hard to believe? That's not hard to believe. And for those of you that have never heard Donald Trump talked about by Jeffrey Epstein, here's just a small snippet of an audio recording that Jeffrey Epstein shared on Michael Wolff's podcast. Michael Wolff is one of the people that was exchanging emails with Jeffrey Epstein. All right. So I'm going to play just a snippet of that before I give my final thoughts and read some of your comments.
Snippet from one of the conversations that I recorded with Epstein, and I think this was in a restaurant in 2017.
His people fight each other.
Right.
And then have outsiders. He sort of poisons the well outside. He will tell 10 people Bannon's a scumbag and Priest is not doing a good job and Kelly has a big mouth. What do you think? Jamie Dimon says that you're a problem and I shouldn't keep you. And I spoke to Carl Icahn, and Carl thinks I need a new spokesperson.
Hey, let me pause this again to say, please, if you're in the live right now, please hit the like button, everybody. I will really, really appreciate it. Please hit the like button. A lot of my content is suppressed. So by you hitting the like button, it will really, really help the video as best as we can. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. I will really, really appreciate it.
So Kelly, even though I hired Kellyanne's husband, Kellyanne's just too much of a wild card. And then he tells Bannon, I really want to keep you, but Kellyanne hates you.
I have more than dozens. I probably have 100 hours of Epstein talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House and about his long-standing, deep relationship with Donald Trump.
So how do you know this?
That was supposed to straight.
So I need the dump. Just give me Donald.
First, so you probably know he had a scalp reduction because he had the same male pattern movement that we all have. He had his scalp moved, which is hysterical. Donald's office, as you know, he made that. He used to be on the phone as a fake PR person. I also found it funny. I was sitting there listening to the guys from the Post talk, and Donald would say, he's a great guy. I loved working with him. And I sit there going, this is just amazing. But he'd say, Michael, let's go to the office. And tell me, what's it like in there? He'd say, you like him? You like? How often do you? He'd say, it's great. Seriously, how often don't you want? You and I can go upstairs, or tomorrow come over. There's this girl's coming in from Los Angeles, part of the Hawaiian Tropic kind of thing. Hawaiian. So come over with your car. You're going to have a great time. I promise you, Michael, it's just me and you. You're going to have a great time. Be up here at 3 o'clock. We can go upstairs. The whole time, Victoria's been on the phone. He's setting it up because he wants a story. So he has you as an avoid conversation. Yes, he had a really You must have had a better wife, right? I said, yes, tell me about it. And the wife's on the speakerphone listening. Brown and said, I think you're really hot. And I know you think you're a guy. My goal is like the end of the world, the best guy on earth, the world will be married to. You're wrong. Just listen to the next 20 minutes. And the only thing you'll love is set you up.
So just tell me about his intelligence.
So let me pause this real fast to make sure everybody understands what they just heard, because when this audio first came out, people was calling this audio generated. It's been confirmed that this is a real audio. This is actually Jeffrey Epstein talking about Trump. What did he just say? He just openly admitted that Donald Trump was openly cheating on his wife with different models and women that Jeffrey Epstein was flying into town. This is crazy.
With respect to real estate deals, good. He's a salesman. He knows real estate really well. Anything else but that, he knows nothing. No history, no strategy. And when I start to say about executive function, the executive function is strange because construction, by definition, is just that. First you have the foundation, you have the steels going up, what stage? But in terms of his anything but, he can't figure out if I fire Bannon, what happens tomorrow.
So cause and effect, that has no relationship. And it's in analytic intelligence.
No.
Now, what's this thing about that functionally he can't read, or he doesn't read, or
he doesn't really. He certainly can't read a balance sheet, which is funny. He has no idea. He doesn't read. Hates it, so he's not functionally illiterate. But his reading comprehension is anything complicated.
Now, what's other than he has a sense of humor? He can be funny.
He's great. Funny.
What else recommends him?
His ability to sell. He is charming. He is able to convince people. It's very much like Clinton. Both Bill and Donald have the ability to go over to a fat, ugly woman, say, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So he tells everybody what they want to hear, and then it's charming. And I'm telling you that I know 4 or 5 people who have recently seen it. When I just realized with talking, where he built the UN Plaza Trump Tower. I was going to take the top 4. I went with Donald. And it was, again, what if you can pay me if that was it's a $13 million transaction. You can pay me over the recording the clip that you give to Morrows, the always. So the idea that he is that bad, dirty business, he's a construction person in New York City, the electrician union in the country. He's a horrible human being in Jeffrey's book. He does nasty things to his best friends' wives. Anyone who first tries to gain your trust and then uses it to do bad things. That's how it goes.
He's a horrible person. He does bad things to his best friends' wives and his best friends. Take that and do with it as you may. Somebody in the comment section who's a regular here kind of disappointed me in the comment section saying that calling Jeffrey Epstein a snitch. What are you talking about, man? I don't know if you're a Christian or not, brother, but I don't subscribe to that nonsense. But I wanted to play this to just provide some further context, all right, to what we're talking about here. So to contextualize these emails, because it just makes more sense and I think it adds more validity. All right. All right. Now I'm going to get to some of your comments. Love the intro. Didi, wow, that was fire. It was incredible. Thank you so much. Let me get this image down. Thank you. Thank you so much. It took a lot of time to put that together. I completely came up with the context myself with the entire layout. Shout out to my video editor, who is also the same person that's doing my clips now. I think God had sent the right person to me. So, heck yeah. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Measured Man. Didi, did you see the email I sent you with the channel? That channel has so much stuff you have been saying. What's the channel? Are you talking about Truth Unedited? Is that the channel? William, Elliot. What's up, William? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. How anyone is still supporting Trump and ignoring the massive betrayal over and over. People, he tricked us. Trump is They all are. Why is that so hard for people to admit? Why? You got people like Candace Owens, much bigger platform than all these people, has said verbatim, I don't regret voting for Trump because I still believe he was a much better option than Kamala. I agree. But then she goes on to say, but I do feel bad that I encourage people to vote for him after he flipped. The moment Donald Trump said, Epstein who? That should have been enough for all y'all. We talking about children, women, little girls. But you got female conservatives overlooking that in the name of being conservative. MAGA, America first. I'm going to say this again. It is not the job of us, the people, to be loyal to them, the politicians, to him, the president, regardless of who's sitting in that seat. It is their job to be loyal to us. It is what can you do for us, not what is it that we can do for you. That's not how this works. How am I 30? A lot of y'all 45, 50, and y'all don't know that. Y'all are doing all the things that Trump is doing that directly contradicts what he ran on. Okay. Crazy. But thank y'all so much. I'm going to hop on off of here. I didn't want to be on here too long. Didi, bro, just be careful. Israel will shred your chat if you let them. Now, you're right about that. Your profile picture and your name is pretty interesting, but that's not stopping me. Truth is truth. Truth is a person. If no one's ever told you, truth is a person, and truth will always win because truth is Jesus Christ. I am seeking truth. I don't care who that means to expose in the process. It could be somebody I really like, somebody I really agree with, somebody I really support. If truth means to expose you, brother, you get exposed. Sister, you get exposed. Straight up. As a reminder, in about 45 minutes, my huge interview. The biggest interview I've ever done. I think I want to go that far. The biggest interview I've ever done before will be dropping in 45 minutes. I'm going to hop off of here. Y'all be sure to hit the like button here. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I really appreciate it. Link to the Patreon is in the description for access to extended and uncensored videos that you can't find on YouTube. And be sure to hop in the comment section and let me know what you think about the interview. It's going to blow your mind. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Love y'all. Peace.